I'll tell you what, girl. What a lovely day for it.
It's beautiful, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's beautiful. It almost looks like a castle here with these ramparts. Ramparts our Linda has, but we're actually in a flat.
Yep.
Your flat.
My flat.
Linda's flat, no less. Yeah, a lovely lady garden you've got.
My bush out of this.
I've always heard such rumours that you had a good lady garden, and proven here today. I'll tell you what, I can picture myself having a gin and tonic in the summer sun on this balcony.
Really?
Yeah, if you would. Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not today, because we're here to do work at Linda's place. Work. We've been doing work all morning at Linda's place, actually, and it's some interesting things. Interesting things.
Yeah.
Because we have an assortment of, well, mainly old wiring here. Bit of new wiring, bit of curious tracing. Probably should have caught much of it on camera earlier, but we'll show you now what we found, and it may be of interest.
Or not.
It probably won't be. In fact, if you want to stop watching this video now and go down the pub, and we'll do the same. Or we'll have a gin and tonic on the balcony and enjoy the view.
That would be so nice.
Wouldn't it just? You sure you're okay with having your inner sanctum displayed to the world? No, sanctum, not rectum. Let's not get that confused again. All sorts of problems last time with that confusion. Yes, Linda's well organised, shall we say.
My crazy wall.
Yeah, disorganised. Well, this is a very fascinating thing. We don't even know what this is, do we?
It's beautiful.
Where did you pick this up from?
Old man electrician.
Oh yeah, it's got these curious dinguses that obviously go in there.
Cool things.
Oh, engine indicator, pressure springs. It's for engines. The Farnborough indicator. The latest peak pressure indicator for cylinder pressures for oil fuel pressures. Curiously all metric.
Beautiful, hey?
Yeah. It's a lovely thing. In fact, I'm jealous of this. This is lovely. This
is
beautiful.
Everyone's
Everyone's got one of those, of course. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone's got the old Avo meter. That's very fascinating. You do like your electrical objet d'art,
I do.
don't you?
Yeah.
We're not here for objet d'art viewing. Sadly.
What are we here for?
Well, you've bought this place quite recently, have you not?
Yep.
Look, Linda's even started making her own test rig. Jolly good. You bought yourself a new consumer unit as well. Oh, she only went for Hager. Hager? Fucking hell. Do you want AFDDs for it? I've got some if you want them. Never trip. You'll never experience a trip. But yes, it's nice to see a test rig being rigged up. So yeah, you've bought this place and you're making your own indelible stamp upon it, aren't you? Yep. Mainly by smashing dirty great fucking holes in the place. Jesus, I don't think I'll be having a poo here today, Linda. if it's okay, I might just hold that one in until I get back to base. But yes, Linda's been twatting holes in the place, as you can see. Why?
This is this massive central heating, air ducting thing that should have been removed 20 years ago. It's obsolete. There are two huge big plumber people coming to remove that tomorrow. But the point is that we're actually going to have to take the whole door frame out because it's too wide. The doors were fitted after this tank was fitted, which is quite something. And then there's this huge big duct, which I'm removing as well. And then there's an old immersion heater in there, which I'm removing as well. So basically, I'm going to remove all this shit and make a little room, a little carpentry studio. Carpet's all covered, all ready for a huge amount of mess tomorrow. That's all. Oh, look. I made holes in everything just to establish what is underneath.
This place dates from, we think, the late 60s, early 70s, something like that, don't we? And there was this great big twatting non-operational heating and hot water system in that just took a huge footprint. It was pretty much all of this, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
All of this space here.
This entire block.
This is where the bathroom used to end. This was like a riser, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you had this is the footprint of the bathroom you can see here. And all this space here was taken up by utility equipment, which is a nonsense. And the previous owner had, well, obviously that thing had stopped working a long time ago, and the previous owner has gone and put storage heaters around the place. So it was all defunct and just taken up, you know, that's a big amount of space to lose in a one-bedroom flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you have grand plans to change the shape of the bathroom, change the function of the bathroom, get rid of the bath. A lot of people are getting rid of their baths these days in favour of showers. I got rid of mine last year to shrink the bathroom down and just have the shower. Never had any means to fill it because I got rid of the hot water tank yonks ago. You're doing the same thing, aren't you? You're going just for a shower, a smaller bathroom footprint, and you're going to turn this space into...
A studio.
What kind of studio? An OnlyFans studio. Oh, carpentry, how disappointing. Yeah, you do like your wood whittling, don't you? Yeah, so very good, very good. I think that's an excellent idea. A hobby space, we should say, shouldn't we?
Nice.
But what we have here are a whole bunch of fucking wires, annoyingly enough. And we've been looking this morning at what does what. And it's been fairly interesting, hasn't it? We've got one wire left to trace. We've got this huge dingus coming out of the wall here, which we presume was the feed for the fuck off. I don't know where the other end of it goes, but what we think has happened is somewhere in the 1980s, there's been some rewiring work. And then sometime 20 odd years ago, there's been further work for the storage heaters to go in. But there's been some rewiring work. There's evidence of that. We'll show you the evidence. So this probably went back to where the consumer units now are. We should probably look at the consumer units. And has been chopped off there. So let's waddle around past all this horror. Got an off-peak board, Wilex board, that dates back to around 2010, I imagine. What's the date? I haven't got my glasses. What's the date on that? Is that, say, 2015?
I don't know, but it's embarrassing to show all my OCD labelling.
Oh. So that would have been, yeah, somewhere around between, with that kind of board, you're looking at 2008 to 2013, something like that. This is the other consumer unit, the main consumer unit, the peak board, obviously with the front removed. I'm sure where that's gone at the moment. Again, another Wilex board. Someone's put RCBOs in. We've got the old NSB range of breakers there. This is what you're going to be replacing for your Hager.
Yeah.
Could have gone Luden, but she went Hager. Someone's added in an electric shower after the fact at some stage. That goes to the electric shower. That's all functional. Yeah. Someone's added in a smoke alarm circuit. That's in trunking. This was the immersion heater circuit. We'll come back to that shortly. And if we just have a look at the source of the installation, make sure we don't lock ourselves out. Got a 1987 analog meter. This is the RadioTeleSwitch, which tells it when to... That's interesting, actually. That is interesting.
What?
Are you ready for interesting?
Yeah.
The RadioTeleSwitch works, I believe, it piggybacks off the Radio4 FM transmission. Is it FM?
Are you being serious?
Yeah. So there's a signal that gets sent out, piggybacked on Radio4, that tells this when to switch on and off.
Oh, wow.
I believe next year that'll be defunct.
Why?
That time signal's been switched off.
Oh, really?
Yes, and this is why you may need to upgrade to a smart meter. Because she's been getting messages from Scottish Power saying, we urgently need to upgrade you to a smart meter. There is normally that's bullshit, but there is an urgency here because if that is no longer told to operate, as I believe it won't be from next year, then your off-peak isn't going to kick in, your storage heaters aren't going to kick in, and you're going to freeze your tits off in the winter, yeah. I'll put some information on this video about that and what they're saying about it. I believe it's already been delayed. The switch off was supposed to happen before now, but it's already been delayed. But I think next year is supposedly the year when it happens. So if you've got one of these old RadioTeleSwitches, that's not even a very old one, that's probably 20 years old, but you say the storage heaters went in 20 years ago, so it might have gone in about that time. Yes, they're going to be defunct quite soon apparently, but a new smart meter will do that switching function for you. It's interesting, we've got a couple of meter changeover notices here. There you go, there's one saying that a meter's gone in 1999.
That's 84.
And there's another one for a meter change back in 1984. So it's interesting because this meter's got a 1987 date on it. So there must have been a meter change in 84, and then possibly another one in the interim, I don't know. But then at some stage, because I can't imagine them putting in well, unless it was reconditioned, but I'm sure it would have a newer date on it if it was reconditioned.
84 to 87.
So somewhere around 87, the 1984 meter presumably came out and this one went in. I don't know. We don't quite know the full history. It's interesting though, don't you think? There's nobody watching anymore. They've all gone. Oh, we'll just talk amongst ourselves. No, don't bother coming back. What we've got here, this is the fat twin and earth feeding the off-peak board. You can see it coming off the RadioTeleSwitch and off the neutral Henley block. It shouldn't be written in twin and earth like that really, because obviously that's just one layer of insulation there. And that is of course a no-no. If we were doing an EICR, that would be a problem. Because that's your last line of defence against shock, and you shouldn't be touching that. If my NRC assessor ever sees me touching single insulation that's energised, it's not energised at the moment, so I guess it's all right. But if I've done it before, where I've like, yes, this is doing this, that, the end is going. Is that single insulation that's live? Yeah. Why are you touching it then? Fair enough. And obviously, when you're doing electrical inspection, that's one of the check boxes: is there any single insulation that's exposed? And yes, here there is, and it's kind of by design, because whoever's put that off-peak board in, it's not necessarily the people whose label is on the board. That might have just been an inspection label, but whoever's put that in has done so without due consideration for keeping the single insulation covered in some kind of way under some kind of alternative. So we know that something's happened in 84, we know that something's happened in 99, and we know that the overall installation predates all of that. Let us go back in. In we go to Linda's lair. So,
oh Jesus, David.
Was that you or me? As if I would do that in somebody else's house. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's that English breakfast. That's going to linger for a while. I did have the extra bacon as well. So a shower's gone in at some stage. That's all in new colours, is it? Yes, it is. Everything else is in old colours. The smoke alarms have gone in new colours. Sorry, I'm not quite sure where this camera's pointing. Let's start with this. This is interesting. You've disconnected that and labelled it as the immersion heater. That used to go onto this 16 amp RCBO. And we had a bit of fun and games earlier tracing where that went, didn't we? Because my assumption was that it was this. Because this is where the hot water tank used to be. And it didn't buzz out. When we belled it out, it didn't happen. And then I thought, well, hang on a sec, it's not going to necessarily go straight to here. Unless there's some kind of localized control interface, there must be some other place where it's being switched from. And we found where it's being switched from because, well, Linda's been pulling shit off the wall. Someone's got some fucking shares in junction boxes here because there's quite a few of them around. But this is the other end of that cable. This is where it bells out. And that was going through the wall here. Let's go and have a look at what's on the other side of the wall, Linda. We're off to Linda's kitchen. And we've got this contraption here, which is the old hot water control. Defunct. Control no more. So that can all get pulled through and disconnected. Doesn't need to be there anymore. We still weren't getting continuity, and what we figured out eventually was this FCU here, which you wouldn't necessarily think was for an immersion heater, was for the immersion heater. They should never have an FCU on an immersion heater because it's on its own dedicated 16 amp circuit. It doesn't need to be fused down, and these things are running so close to the limit of that fuse that you see them often get hot and melt. Shouldn't have been there. Don't know why someone put it there. It should be an isolation switch, like a 20 amp switch, if anything. But we're thinking of, we've tested that cable out, it all works okay, so we're thinking of reutilising that in the future because you're going to need one of those like Ariston hot water tanks in there, aren't you, to carry on running your hot water. You've got no hot water at the moment. Are you having cold baths, cold showers, I think? I know you've got an electric shower, haven't you?
No, I don't shower.
Oh, I wonder what that smell was. I thought it was my asshole again. So yeah, you've got hot water via the shower for washing, but you've got no hot water facilities other than the kettle for other stuff. Yep. I'm aware this is very waffly, I'm sorry about that. But that can all go, except for this, which is grouted in. That can stay for now because to remove it would be damaging to the tile work. And the replacement heater we put in, well, we'll make sure it's of a lower kilowatt rating. There's always someone using a power tool nearby when we're trying to film. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
Someone's got a grinder out there. It's a lovely day out there, we mentioned.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I still haven't had that gin and tonic.
Are you going to do any work today?
I think she thinks I'm joking. You can tell that this is like a 60s, early 70s build because we've got fucking singles everywhere. They stopped using these dreadful things a long time ago. In fact, that was an interesting one.
Oh, that was the one.
Because you've got a single there that's married to an earth wire. You can see that you've got the black there. That would have been a neutral. And it's got a solid green. Not a green yellow, a solid green. Shows its age. But this is all dead. The lights are all working. So this is where we think the 1984 renovations have come along, because at some stage someone's de-energised, disconnected this stuff. And although there's a lot of it still about, it can all start getting cut out now because it ain't doing anything. It's dead. We can chop it. It's not going to affect the lights in any kind of way. And there have been some other modifications on the lighting. Not least up here, if we go up here, this where the riser was, the riser cupboard had a pull cord light in it. Again, you can see it's wired in singles. These are double insulated red. We've done some tracing today, and what we figured was from the shaver position here, as it used to be, we have a double insulated red, which was going to the pull cord light switch. So that's providing the power to the pull cord light switch. From there, it was both going to the light, and also from there, we had a PermiLive going over to here as a double insulated red. So this wire here is your PermiLive from the light switch. From the light itself, we've got a twin and earth. That's coming over to here. That's providing your switch line and your neutral, and all this is to run a fan. There used to be a fan in this position, and once the bathroom work is complete, we'll put another fan up there. So this goes back to the light, this twin and earth, and that provides or did provide your switch line and neutral. It's disconnected now, and that provided your PermiLine as a double insulated red. This double insulated red would have connected to the Permi through this light switch to that light position there, which is now defunct. So all this can go, but we are going to keep the twin and earth because that's currently above the ceiling to the light, and that can be used to drive a fan in the future. I see you're going to be putting a stud wall in here. So this is going to be a shower here, isn't it? A shower cubicle.
Yeah.
The loo is going to move to this position. There's going to be a wall across here, so it's going to be a much smaller room, at least in terms of its width, but then you're extending out by a little bit. Someone's just bought new carpets. That was a bit mad, wasn't it? If you're extending out, that's going to extend out a little bit, and your sink unit's going to be there. So you're taking some of this, because this is a bit of a waste of space, this hallway, isn't it? So you're taking some of this hallway for your bathroom.
Space,
it is. And we've managed to fill it with stuff today, but yeah, it's a huge space. Would you like to be camera lady for a moment? Because we're going to show off some funky kit. You ready for funky kit?
Yep.
I hope you're all braced, as I am. I'm going to start off with the Wöhler.
What have you got there?
I've got a very funky bit of kit. I'm just kind of buried under all sorts of other stuff. Linda's managed to skank this on loan from Wöhler. Thank you, Wöhler, for lending this to Linda, because Linda's been smashing dirty great holes in the place and needs to peer in walls. And this borescope is a rather marvellous piece of equipment for doing so. I can't show all its features and functions, mainly because I don't know them all, but you do have a light on the back there, which is jolly useful. You have a light on the end of the borescope itself with I don't know how well you can see that, with a dimmable end. We can take snapshots, we can take video, we can press a button to hold what's on the screen so that it's we can better see what's going on. You've knocked hole. This is interesting. I keep saying that, and it's fucking not, because this looks like it's original part of the building, and yet if we put the Wöhler up there.
Do you know what you're doing, David?
I never know what I'm doing. With the Wöhler up there, I don't know how well you can see that on the screen, but we've got round screw junction boxes in there.
Yeah.
More than one. Now, there's another one over in the distance there. See that? I don't reckon they're original to the building, because why would the builder put in junctions? If they're running in new cabling, they're going to run it from A to B. There shouldn't be any reason to junction it off anywhere. So I don't know if there is some... maybe this, well, I don't know, like I say, it looks like it's all part of the original structure. So I don't know what's going on there. Why would those junction boxes be in there? But they're an interesting find, and maybe they're to do with the 1984 modifications that occurred. I don't know, but we're not going to do it today, but what needs to happen eventually is that this needs to be opened up and that investigated, because another thing we found with the borescope, there appears to be a Henley block up here of some kind with some fat cable. Can you see that? Yeah, big earthing point there. I'd want to know more about what that's doing and why that's there. Anything that's got screw connectors in it shouldn't be. And look at that, it's poorly terminated as well, isn't it? You can see the red and black there. Anything like that should be accessible for maintenance, or built in using equipment that's maintenance free, according to BS 5733. Some countries don't allow any kind of junction connection to be hidden away, but we do, so long as it's maintenance free and complies to 5733. So we need to find out more about what's in there eventually. But well, I'll come back to using the Wöhler in a minute, because there's more we're doing with that. In fact, we're going to do a little experimentation now, because there's one more cable. Sterling camera work. Right up your nose. One more cable for us to trace, isn't there? We've got this white cable here, which again, it's not part of the original build, this twin and earth that's down here. It's not live. So it's something that someone has put in at some point, and then it's been decommissioned. And we're not necessarily going to reuse it, but we'd quite like to know where it goes and what it does. And we can physically see that going around the bathroom, and it goes under the bath, doesn't it? Yeah. Ugh. There's the white cable under the bath, and then it goes through the wall. So if it's just going to be going into here somewhere. You can see there's all sorts of cables in there. So we've obviously got a cable run up the back there, and I suspect that's some of our cables. In fact, what's that there? You've got one there that's been cut off. Which I just spotted that dangling down. That's a big fat white one. We haven't seen that anywhere, have we? So I don't know what that's doing or what it was doing. I wonder. No, I don't know. I was just going to say, I wonder if it's either end of that big fat fucker that we got by the boiler, but it would have to be going through a junction box, wouldn't it, or something, because it's not the same physical cable. Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to worry too much about that, but we would like to know where this white cable is going. So we know it's disappearing to this cavity. Well, let's get the Wöhler on that then, go, shall we? You dump that down there. You'll have to be camera lady again. Hopefully we can use the Wöhler VE400 to maybe see where that's going. A whole bunch of cables here. I do like the form factor of this thing. We saw this at Alex last year, which is why Linda rather cheekily asked if she could borrow one.
And?
Oh, I spy a white cable. That's got to be it, hasn't it? I bet that's it.
Yeah.
Because look at that. We know the cable's dead.
Yeah.
And that looks like it's been looped to me, and someone has just wrapped the ends around it. I bet that's either end of that cable. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll pull that out, and then we'll use the MFT down here.
What make of MFT is this?
Right, it's a Chauvin Arnoux CA6117. We'll use that to do a test on it, a continuity test, to make sure that is our cable.
Perfect.
Well, let's do that then. There we go.
Oh, wow.
There we go. That's got to be it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Wöhler. Thank you, Super Rod. Tools for the trade.
That's fantastic.
Right. What we'll do then, girl, is we'll put a loop on this at the other end on what we assume that this is the same cable. And we'll stick the continuity tester on it.
Okay.
Was that too heavy for you?
A little bit heavy, yeah.
But you're supposed to be my super new camera lady. You're my media agent. If Jordan's got one, I want one. So we'll get the tester on that just to prove that is our cable. So Linda's going to link 2 wires there. Any 2 wires, doesn't matter. Which ones are you going for, Linda? You're going for line CPC?
Line CPC.
Why not? Right, let's put the MFT on the other end and see what happens. We're using the Chauvin. We could just as easily be using Linda's Mega or, well, any continuity tester really, but have CA6117, we'll use it. Line CPC, wasn't it, you put it on? Line CPC. And when we start the test, what we should see here is hopefully a low number and a horrible noise. Yeah, boy, 0.53 and a horrible noise. If you pull that loop off, Linda, Linda's just going to pull it off, and if that breaks, then we know we're definitely, that's us. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Lovely, lovely jubbly. So that is indeed the other end of our white cable. Done a lot of cable tracing today, haven't we? I tell you what, it makes it a lot easier when some madwoman has bastardised holes into the wall so you can get to the... Otherwise we would never have found that, of course, if there wasn't... But it doesn't really matter because this wall's going to be coming out and it being extended and all that sort of stuff anyway.
What have you got there, David?
I've got a hole that's been stuffed with newspaper. I like old newspaper finds. I haven't got my glasses on, that's a bit of a...
It's going to go far.
Yeah.
So we can get your glasses.
I can't see any date on it, but whatever it was cost 20p. 20p, big value. And it's some kind of like car sale newspaper. On sale at newsagents every Thursday, whatever it used to be. What kind of cars we got here? A-Reg Ford Fiesta, 1982, 1983. A Rover 3.5, 1979 for £750, all nearest offer. A-Reg, or a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow for 15 grand.
Right, fair enough.
The fact that these are all A-Reg 1983, it's A-Regs came out in 1984, kids. So these are all late 70s into early 80s cars. This dates 1984, which again goes with that card we saw, doesn't it? Yep. And our assumption that certain works were carried out in the 80s. This isn't original to the flat. Someone stuffed this in here for whatever reason at the same time that they disconnected these singles. So there we go, evidence of 1984 modifications or thereabouts provided by that thing there. That's very interesting, isn't it? So we can cut that off because that's nonsense. They can go, we're going to keep that because that's the immersion heater feed. That's still good. That's part of the fabric of the building. No point in ripping that out and putting in a new cable when that just works. So a water heater can sit on that. Yes, Linda, we have other wiring up here. We know that that's a big fuck off thing that we haven't bothered to trace and presumably disappears into the same sort of cavity as we saw earlier. But what we have here are two more wires. This one we trace back again to the same cavity. That Wöhler came in jolly handy for a cavity search, didn't it, Linda? And we have these wires here again, double insulated singles and a twin and earth. Now we've traced them into the lounge. And voila. Where you removed this, didn't you? This was a thermostat. So what we've got there is a twin and earth 1 mil. That would have provided power to the thermostat. And then this would have been your switching coming out, switching on and off whenever the temperature rose past the set point. So again, we can chop them off. They are defunct. I'm going to cut off some of this dead shit. We can see that that's definitely not doing anything. So long. Boom. I hate cutting cables, even when I know they're dead. I always expect something to blow a hole in my fucking cutters. So that can go. We can also get rid of these double insulated singles up here, because we can't reuse them. We can't redo anything with this stuff. It's no longer code compliant. I'm going to cut off the shit up there, except for the twin and earth, which we may keep around for the fan. This here, this is a single that's disappearing all the way down there via a whole bundle of stuff. Now, if I put my non-contact tester by it, I get nothing, which indicates it's dead. However, this could be a neutral return for your lighting. In which case, you know, it's 0 volt potential because it's neutral and it's therefore tied to earth back at the head. So it's 0 volts as it stands, but it could be carrying current for your lighting. So if I cut this and your lights go off, what we'll find is one end goes high, floats at 250 volts. One end will remain low and we'll have to rejoin it, and that will have to be reworked back into the fabric of the building. So I don't know if this is a working cable or not. I'm going to cut it right by the wall there because I'm banjaxed then if it turns out that it is doing something. Let's turn on all the lights and we'll cut the cable. It won't go with a bang because it's just a neutral, well, presumably. All the lights are on, so we'll find out if this is carrying current or not by chopping it. Well, that's good because it's a red core, which indicates it probably isn't a neutral. I believe all the lights are still on. All the lights are still on. All the lights appear to still be on. Yeah. Jolly good. So that truly was a defunct cable. The reason why non-contact picked up no indications of voltage being that there was none. But that could just as easily have been a neutral return. You've got to be careful when snipping singles like that, because you could suddenly find yourself without any lights because you've killed a neutral feed. That's one of the problems with these kind of singles, these grey singles, is their function isn't terribly obvious. At least with the red ones, the red and black ones, it's a bit more obvious as to what they're potentially doing, but something like that, it's a bit shady. So we can lose that right up there. Woo! In fact, that looks like it was cut off at wherever it was going through there, because that's just pulled right out. Lovely, and we can cut that off down there. And that's more cable for my green cable bin. Smashing.
What's that do?
This.
This thing, yeah.
We haven't looked at this yet, have we? But
switch this thing off.
Full of surprises, this place, isn't it?
Yep.
That's a red that's been oversleeved green. I'd say that was a bit of cowboy supplementary bonding. Someone at some point has run out of their green earth cable, as it was back then, and they've extended it with a bit of red to wherever it needs to go. It doesn't need to go anywhere anymore because the installation's fully RCD protected, and well, there's nowhere to connect it to anyway. So long.
Right.
I think that's everything we need to trace today, isn't it? We kind of know where we are. We kind of know where everything is. We know what sort of condition most of it's in. We've done various tests throughout the day. I find it quite interesting. I find it quite sort of CSI, all this tracing and figuring out and stuff. Nobody else finds it interesting. There's still nobody watching this. Should we go back to the balcony?
Yeah, I've got questions.
Oh, what questions you got? Off camera?
Off camera.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to the balcony with our gin and tonics and answer the question. So long. No, seriously, where's my fucking gin and tonic? Get in there, you asshole, and get me fucking hell. Coffee shout outs. The Manor House party. You can't see it because it's all in smoke, but it's all there somewhere. And you're invited as special guests for the coffee shouts. So pull up a Strongbow and grab a sausage off the barbecue, and let's rattle through a few names. Now being party guests for this one, party guests. Who would you like to say thank you to?
Thank you to Mr. Humbug.
Mr. Humbug, who leaves no message as always. Silent, Mr. Humbug. One day he's going to tell us to fuck off or something, I'm sure, but not tonight. We've got Jimmy here. Jimmy from Australia. Who's going to say thank you to
Alexel. What else can we say? I mean, what a magnificent party this, and thank you, Alexel, for bringing Dave to us, because he's a gem.
Oh, well, there you go. Alexel is in Australia. Do you know him?
Yes, I do. It's thrown me now.
Marvellous.
Just say thank you to Andy Carouche.
Andy Carouche.
Thank you to Andy Carouche.
Okay, now you're overdoing it.
Sorry.
Okay, give me the cue.
The cue is here.
Okay, where?
Hello to... God, this is hard work.
Hi, I'm Hilary, and I just want to say hello to Jay Sargent. What a wonderful name. That name has such gravitas. That's the sort of name that I could cleave to.
Fucking hell. It just said top drawer to this nonsense. But I don't think it's expecting that. But thank you, Jay Sargent. Can you say hello to Kip Hakes?
Kip Hakes.
Kip Hakes. Who's called Kip? Nobody's called Kip. He's listed himself as little on me on this one for some reason, but he says, my company, KCJH Design, makes great websites for tradespeople. If they use code DSES10 at checkout, magic will happen.
Hello, Ricky Holland.
Ricky Holland?
Knock yourself out, mate.
Yeah, fucking Ricky Holland.
Whoever the fuck Ricky Holland is.
Fucking Ricky Holland. He says, get yourself a beer and Linda a milky coffee.
Yeah, get yourself a beer and a milky coffee, whatever else turns you on.
Thank you, Ricky Holland. Star.
Will that work for you?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that.
Hello to Dave P.
Dave P. Yes.
Dave P. Yes.
Thank you, Dave P.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all been wonderful. Whatever it is.
It's the editing quality that makes this channel.
I think so. I think it's superb. Living the dream.
A virgin in the name of Clumhain, or at least I think that's how it's pronounced. Go!
Test gear junkie.
Thank you, test gear junkie. They say don't piss it all up the wall all at once.
So what?
Too late.
Who is this fucking big party photos up?
No, the top electrician.
This is on the interwebs.
Oh yeah, let's get it. Let's fucking
We're going to say hello to EF7480.
Yeah, come on, bring it in then.
Yeah, motherfucker.
EF7480.
Are you taking it or not?
The man, the myth, the legend, Dave Savoury.
That's going. Final shout out for this video, Terry Lambert 3790, at least I think that's what it says. Having glasses on me, fucking pissed. I don't know, but thank you for contributing. Special mentions to Wöhler UK. Thank you for your inspection camera, and to Chauvin Arnoux for your multifunction test instrument. I'm going to escape now because I'm very close to this fire.
Very pissed.
And I'm pissed and quite in danger, as it turns out.